Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, my voice is really interesting this morning. Okay, I'll confess, there's pictures on social media. Went out last night, and it's been an interesting morning. But nevertheless, we are here for Thankful Thursdays. I'm thankful for you that are in the Java Cafe this morning. Listen, we're approaching Mother's Day, and especially since COVID, there are a lot of things that come up in our emotions when it comes to approaching Mother's Day, Father's Day. And a few months ago, I had the opportunity in a collaboration with the Massachusetts General Hospital, World Channel, and if I've missed others, please forgive me. But I met this young man, a film creative, a film creator, someone who has been through life experience that has caused him to experience issues where he can talk about health equity, grief, mental health, joy, family, being a father, being a son. And there's a film that he created called The Death of My Two Fathers. And I know some of you, when I first saw it, I wondered what the dynamics were for the title of the film, The Death of My Two Fathers. And so we're going to see a clip of that shortly, but I am honored this morning, even in our, what I would call pregame, he's encouraged me and gave me a little bit of guidance around some things. And just, we're going to talk about the film, but I really was, and I told him, I'll be honest with you all, impressed seems like an interesting word, like he's not out to impress anyone, but he made an impression on me just with his authenticity. He's a creative. And so anyway, I'm not going to hold him up any longer. I'm going to bring him into the room. You all get ready to really do some self-reflection and just really listen to a great and good brother as we have a discussion about the death of my two fathers and his journey on mental health, health equity. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and say, put your hands together for Mr. Soul Guy. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the room this morning. It is an honor to have you here, and thank you to the team that made this happen. We've been talking about this since February, maybe. So I'm glad to have you here, sir. Please say good morning, greet the people, and I have a feeling this is going to be a very interesting. I wonder if I should have brought tissue this morning. A very, very interesting conversation. But Soul, good morning. Good to see you here, brother.
Bismillah. Greetings to everybody, from around the world and in between. It's early morning. It's a good way for me to wake up. I'm in California, so I'm having a green juice and coffee at the same time. That's that's about as West Coast as it can get.
It's very balanced. And thank you, because you are 3-4 hours behind us. And so
yeah, 3 hours, but I like to wake up early. It's when the day is still and the inspiration is ripe,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I've heard that from a lot of creatives that I'm trying to get there when I wake up at 4 and I try to tell myself I'm going back to sleep and 2 hours go by. Often I'm like, what could I have done in those 2 hours?
It's a good time.
So,
The energy is so I think a lot of music and stuff happens at nighttime. It's interesting to shift through that evening, what you can create when you feel when energy kind of goes up and down. But story for another day.
Okay. Sir, tell us about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, and we'll get into the film and show the clip. But I'm so interested to hear about who you are. I have the privilege of knowing you've been in this business and doing this since you were 16. But Who is Soul? Who is he?
I mean, first and foremost, thank you, first of all, everybody. I always say time is the most precious commodity we have. It's there's a limited amount of it. So whenever we get the gift to spend time together, it's never lost on me how valuable that is. So thank you, and your team and everybody who's joined us here. Who's Saul? I mean, proudly, I'd say first, I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm a friend. I'm you know a collaborator and sometimes an opponent. But
Let me find out your ops.
yeah, no, I'm definitely someone's op for sure, but not by design. Hopefully that's just hopefully that's healed in the heart space. But I yeah, I have had this very you get a little older and you kind of look you look when you can look back and still look forward. They say that's the golden era of our lives where we hold hands with the elders and the young ones. So I'm in that stage of my life, and I'm in that kind of, someone said you go through I've heard it said that a younger man, in your kind of his 20s and 30s, they say you want to build empire, and that but you're pulled to that, to kind of lift the world up on your shoulders or whatever it is, or take the world on. And when you move out of that phase, you the next phase is you kind of want to I think maybe you're cultivating care, or like cultivating soil. So I'm in that phase, and the soil that I've had the privilege of kind of planting seeds in has been the arts, these creative industries. As I've kind of played every role you could imagine. Me and my friends, date me a little bit, but there's before Drake, there's something's got to happen before Drake, and The Weeknd. And that was, I'm a Canadian, born and raised in Canada, and we was, some young punks in the 90s, and we wanted to rap because we was a bunch of living in Vancouver, and a bunch of boys who looked like us that didn't see ourselves in very many places. We saw ourselves in those music videos and on those magazine pages, and we were inspired, and we had a little talent. We were dancers, and we got a 4-track, started making beats. My crew is called the Rascals, and we got very, we caught the eye of the local talent promoter and got a record deal when we were 16, 17. And the worst record deal you could possibly manage, but we managed through that. Our moms had to sign it for us. That's how young we were. And that kind of we progressed from there. And I think what I would say to kind of, it could go on forever, but I think what it was is that I figured out at a young age that my ideas and my imagination, my thoughts could create form. And I lived in that form. Like, I remember seeing our first CD. I think I've been asking people that recently, like when that happened for them. I think when it happens at a young age, there's never been a barrier to like my ideas or the people's ideas I'm inspired by coming into the world. I remain as excited about that as I did now, as I did when I was 16. And through my curiosity, through my travels and my friendships, I found that there was multiple forms. There was music, there's film, there's visual arts, there's theater, there's the written word, there's photography, there's, all these movement, like. And so what happened over the years is that I would get really curious about those different forms of expression, because in my travels, I would travel and then I'd want to tell everyone about it. And I'd be so excited. I'd go to Cuba or whatever, like, yo, how do I? And I realized the best way to tell it was in the form of a story. It could be a 3.5-minute song, it could be a feature film, could be, a painting. Not that I can paint, but I know some people who can. And so I guess to bring it full circle is I would learn these different forms. And if I was inspired, if my heart was in it, I would do anything to make it, to manifest it. And I didn't care. I've never cared about title or like getting where you fit in. Like, I'll be the water boy. I'll take the lead. So I've kind of, I've done everything in between. And the only through line I think you could pull from it would be, and it's because our, generation, like, I was politicized, but hip hop I grew up on politicized, like it gave me a worldview. It was boastful, and you know, it was all the things and braggadocious, but it was also asking questions about community. People forget that NWA, that was as revolutionary as it wasn't, you know, it was the first gangster rap the world heard, even though there was stuff happening here before that. But like, it was like, I don't know, it was an unbelievable thing to say or hear. These cats call themselves niggas with attitude.
Listen,
you know what I mean? Like, and so
where did it come from though?
Yeah, and it came, and the thing is, people were like, "Oh, this and that," but what they was talking about was one of the most corrupt police forces in this, in this country.
Yep.
And they were ahead of it by 10 years because they were dealing with it on the ground. So my point is I was politicized by hip hop. So what I was trying to finish the thought is that the through line that has been there, inshallah, I've honored it, is a space where trying to tell stories and express ourselves, where art and social justice kind of converge, that nexus point. That's been the only constant through everything. And it served me well because God willing, the things that I've contributed to, or have been a privilege of being a part of, have meant something in the world. And they're not things that are easily thrown away. And, who knows? But that's what I'm seeking. Sometimes you touch it, sometimes you don't.
There is so much to unpack there. And I told you all this. I don't know if I used the word deep yet, but this is a very deep brother. And one of the things that resonates with me about you is that sort of creative and social justice. And so if we could delve a minute, in case a 16, 17-year-old may watch this, I'm actually getting ready to start a program where we're looking at the impact of COVID on young people, and we're giving them the opportunity to express their impact in any form of the arts, photography, arts, rap, anything. And the city is supporting that. And so, but up to 16 and you being politicized in the rap, where do you think the nexus was for you to take the attitude and funnel that into the creative space? Because there are a lot of brothers out here now that are dealing with a lot. There are a lot of people dealing with a lot. And I don't think we as a society are doing well at promoting the fact that this space provides mental wellness. It could address mental illness. And so what for you was that turning point or decision to say, all I'm going through, I'm going to funnel this energy and my attitude into creating something that has a social justice lens to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that, the half, the humorous response is, and I heard that the great John Lennon said this when someone asked him as beautiful as a question as he did. He just quizzically looked at the camera and said, "Well, girls," because your first inspiration is to be seen. So there's that, because you're 16 and you want people to look at you, and you specifically want people whoever they are that feel you. So there's that. But I think that, that's only half of it. I think that, again, we had the privilege of, and I'm very aware, even though it may feel different, this is always available. Like, we had the privilege of and youth culture always gets this. It's why, like, I one of the things I love is I spend a lot of time around people, half my age, young artists and stuff. And I don't, I speak when they ask for something, but I listen a lot. And what I listen for is that space of kind of inspiration, that space of excitement, that space of wonder, and that desire to express. And if I hear that, or if I feel that, I poke there and ask what they may have inside of them. And I say that because I think that we all have definitely all have an opinion. And we see that kind of, we've got this medium where we can kind of spout opinion, but beyond an opinion is an idea, and beyond an idea is kind of a thought, and a thought that is able to take shape and form and express itself outside of you and take form in the form of a story. Even we're sharing a story right now. A lot of my Native American brothers and sisters, they say, or indigenous people, when they have conversations, they say they want to talk story.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to say it. It's beautiful to me. And I think that, I guess what I'm getting at is, when these thoughts and ideas take form outside of us, expression It lets us have a different relationship with the things that we're processing. When something's outside of you, you could paint it, you could put a melody to it, you could just use your voice to sing it, and it don't ever have to be recorded. But I'm deeply, I think deeply about healing through creative practice, and part of my what I've learned is trying to get people to a place of expression. And I think that it's a little veered off the question you asked, but I think what it was that we didn't see someone telling the story that we wanted to tell from where we were from, and we wanted to be a part of the culture that was emerging at that time. And I think these cultures are always emerging. You know, I might not be able to put my finger on what it is for a 16-year-old now, but it's always there. Yeah. We can get caught sometimes being like, well, you know, in the golden era of hip hop, and that was our era. Now, when a genre is birthed, that's a fun time. You know, ask one of these old timers that was there when jazz was popping off, or rock and roll, but you know, that is the same for different forms of EDM and you know, trap and these things. It's a feeling.
Yes, sir.
It's a feeling. And I think that you look around, and this is what I kind of nudge for now. There's a lot of, you know, there's a choice you can make. And I think for whatever reason, probably, you know, born of how I was raised, my family homes, was that I was more drawn to the whole than I was to myself as an individual. I was more looking at the whole as me being a part of a whole, as opposed to you know, this whole, like, you know, this idea of whole to part thinking. Like there's this entire thing that was existing, and I was within it. Not that I was an individual trying to find my way in. You know, it's a bit of a flip, but so I didn't really know anything else, brother. Like I think it was also my experiences. I started having, at a very young age, traveling, you know, even just touring, starting to see other people and places, which challenged my thinking. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, if I was to add the second layer, I think the traveling and seeing people outside of my neighborhood, my city, my country, very quickly it became difficult for maybe some of my fears, which I think a lot of the stuff that becomes, you know, conflict is just born of fear. Yep. So my fears were, but like they got confronted because I had an idea about how someone was or what a place was like. And then I went there. Yeah. And a lot of times I went there and was introduced through culture, through art, through music, through theater, these things. And so I would see, and I'd have a hard time kind of othering people a little bit. Also my bloodline, you know, my mom's Jewish, my dad's Black American. Like, you know, if you do the DNA on it, we've got, even my mom's Jewish side of my family, we've got Eastern European and Palestinian roots there. Then we've got, like, my dad's side of the family got Native American and Black American, a few other things. So I kind of was confronted by, like, well, who am I? Where do I fit in?
And if I could jump in, because first, this needed to be an after dark. Because we could go a whole, and what I mean by after dark, that, you know, this is Monday, Thursday morning at 9 a.m., daytime talk show, whatever. The reason, and we can go a little bit into the mental health piece, and then I really want to allow you the opportunity to talk about the film, but I think this is a good.
No worries, brother. We're in it.
Yes, sir. And we are in it. And so you talked about these layers of the ideas and the thoughts and whatnot, and having the outlet for expression. That has an impact on our mental wellness.
Absolutely.
The reason I went down this road with you, and I move in the space of a lot of our young men in violence prevention and whatnot, and I want to ask you the question of what happens if there is no intentional, to some extent guided, because you talked about sort of the elders of someone having the ability to see the inspiration. They may have shot, they may have been on the block and in the game, but they draw. Mm-hmm. And so from your opinion, and moving more into the mental health space, what do you see happens if we don't have that outlet? And where do you see that having a role in things present in a lot of our communities today?
Yeah, it's a great question, brother. And it's like we've all, you know, there's a beautiful analogy that the reason we watch television or we're pulled to films or is that the glow of the television screen is reminiscent to that of the, and we're talking reminiscent as far as we can remember, as brothers say, to time memorial, of the flickering fire of where we would gather and tell our stories to each other. So there's something that pulls us towards, there's something in our DNA that is, we exist in the form of story.
Yeah.
Like, period. We're building a story right now, you know, like we find comfort in the arc, the long or short arc of a narrative, a beginning, a middle, an end.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a song, it can be the stroke of a paintbrush, it can be you know, so there's something universal in our stories. It's how we relate to each other. And I think that stories are born of our experiences. And there seems to me to be something that, and you know, there's people way above my pay grade and who have studied this and who are deep professionals, but in my humble opinion and in my wealth of experience, you know, my deepest wealth is in my experience. My greatest gift is in my children. But like, in the wealth of experience, I've seen that when you have something positive or negative that comes into your life and you can get it out, you can express it, you can put it outside of yourself. And there's many forms to do that.
Yeah.
But for some people, it could exist in a journal every morning. Others sing. Some people put their hands in the dirt in a garden. Others, you know, paint or write prose in the side of their, you know, their scribble something, doodling something down. Like, I'm trying to like cook it down and express this from a place of not like your voice, a melody coming out of your voice and singing in the shower or humming something along is a form of healing, is a form of getting your experience outside yourself, just unto itself. And you need not be Adele to sing, right? It's like those ideas that in order to express yourself, you have to be an artist or it has to have some commercial output. That's just another capitalist, you know, yoke, right? It's like that, what the Yassine Bey say, it's that Bugs Bunny mathematics. You know what I mean? Like, it's like 1 and 1 is 14, take 2 away is 48, and you owe the bank. It's like, ain't no, you know what I mean? Like, there ain't no sense to this capitalist frame we're living in. So what we have is freedom. And there's not a lot of places you can find freedom. What we have is freedom, is expression of ourselves. And the be that through the difficulties or through the beauty. And my encouragement is to what you don't express, what you don't because expression, I believe, is processing. We get into the mental health of it. When you process it, I think that's why talk therapy works. You have a safe place where you can sit and without judgment, you can say it all.
Yes, sir.
And just as soon as that thing gets outside of you and you're looking at it from a different place and you could spin it around and get angles on it, your relationship with it changes. And I'm, again, this is very simple, and then there's this other kind of like, almost for your own enjoyment, you can shape it with the arc of your pen or to reflect it back to people in a form of a film or a melody, whatever it is. And that becomes, and you do it so others can relate, but I think you do it to change your relationship with the thing that has happened for you. I think it's a duality. I think that's what happened. And so then and what is the back end of that is that I'm sure there's a neuroscientist out there who's going to tell me the truth of this, but I'm going to paraphrase, is like, from what I understand, is our brains are hardwired for those stories that I mentioned at the beginning of this question, meaning that our ability to take in new information.
Yep. Yes.
Our ability to change our mind, and our ability to get to a place of maybe, new understanding, I guess that's changing my mind, is heightened when something is presented to us in the form of a story.
It's, sir. So there is this. One of my professors at UMass came up or taught this concept of social construction.
Mhm.
And right now, you and I are reconstructing society. Anyone that is listening, that this topic, anything that we talk about again in their next conversation or iteration of growth that you're referring to,
Mhm.
we have helped reconstruct society. So they, oh God, they, I told your team, and we do have a sort of a time limit. I got about 15 minutes left, and we got to get to the film, but
It's all good.
there is so much to unpack there. And the thing is, if that expression gets bought, and you said negative or positive, if they don't have the outlet to respond to get out of them, because when it's all internalized, there's going to be a blow up.
Guaranteed.
One or two ways.
Guaranteed.
So that is the point, Soul, where I'm like, just if anybody is listening in the afterwatch or whatever, and there's a young man, young lady that you need to sit down and just say, watch this part right here, because so much, and I'll bring it back to get ready to transition into the film.
It's
You
cool,
got
man.
me. You got me way out there. You have been through some things that you have been intentional about keeping that expression. You had opportunities. Someone in your life influenced you, or you saw something in the arts, and you was honest. You said initially with the rap, it was the girls, and then also fighting against that narrative.
System.
Yeah,
Yeah, like being like, yo, you ain't got space for us. We're gonna make space. Like, there's like, and I say it with I say it from a place of like pride. Like, they wasn't playing music that sounded like us, that sounded like what we was loving in the radio in Canada, or getting us on the TV shows. And it's a small country, but we got our equivalent of the Grammys, which is called the Junos, these things and stuff. And me and our crew was the ones who was like, we won that one year, and we was like in our hometown, and they didn't want to let us perform. We had a big record, and we didn't know it at the time, but we were like, no, we ain't taking this. And we refused it. And we were the second people in the history of this, the 50, 60-year-old award show that said no, because we said, we want to be a part of this. And we used our expression, either you take us as we are and you give us a seat at the table, or don't pander to us. We don't care about that BS. We gave it back. And then the next year, us and a bunch of other artists were on the main stage. And 10 years later, you get Drake. And I'm proud of that. And shout out to Big Homie. Like, it's like you pave the way because you see something beyond what is there for you. And I think that we just experience, and people, we all have these places. It's like, I experienced a lot losses in my family, which we're going to get to. But the thing that I realized, a part of like out here, talking about this story, was that one of the other things that happened, I think that happens for a lot of these young brothers more and sisters more and more at this young age, is like, I lost 3 friends due to violence between 18 and 21.
Yep.
And it was that kind of choice where we kind of created the space, and society kind of made it available, and there's so many more lanes, young people, and I see them in their lanes and their bags now, which is beautiful. But at that point, it was like the reflections we had, and because we didn't come from good homes and these things, and some people had different, but we was tested. You're young, you tested the edge, and what we saw was cats was hustling, and we saw this other doorway. We saw this other doorway that was expressing ourselves.
Yeah.
And when the boys started dropping over the course of 3 years, one a year, I don't know if we articulated it to each other, but we looked at each other and we said, and the boys, our other boys who kept going there, some of them got locked up, and some of them made it through, and I'm proud of them for the circle of what they've done, but they carry a big weight with them in the things that they've had to do to defend themselves, or the conflicts that, the burden of the block. It's not
the burden of the. That needs to be your next film.
I'm telling you, man, it's not an easy thing to take on. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, brother, is that those losses, we and I guess I can bring it full circle. Like, I'm really only thinking this now, like, we deepened in our expression because maybe that was the only way that we knew how to, that like we woke up one day and Paul was gone. Like, our one boy who decided he was going to hustle hard, and he had the car and he had the things, and he was like, he used to tease us like, oh, you guys gonna rap? Like, who do you think you are, crisscross? Like, he was like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. And he was doing it. And then one day he was gone. And we knew that the way it happened, and it was gun violent, and like, boom, and you're kind of like, huh? And you keep it moving. And I think that what being able to write a song or be with our crew and huddle up together felt safe.
Yes.
And it felt like a place to express. And I think that if we can cultivate more spaces for young people to do that, outside of it having to be a commercial, output,
yeah,
and be in competition with each other, and also like presenting a wider spectrum of potential around narratives. Like, when you experience violence, you can express violently. That's okay. But that's one piece of it. That's only one piece of it. So to elevate that as the only place of kind of peak materialism, violence as the only, it's a very narrow, and my kind of challenge is like, widen the spectrum, widen the aperture, widen the spectrum. Don't mean you have to leave it alone. I don't know what you're feeling. I'm not here to one to tell you. I love the pain of it. I hear some gangster shit that's like, excuse me, I don't know if I say that, but like,
you're good. You're good.
I hear some stuff that it's just so beautiful, because a brother of mine said that, like, that trap is just the blues, man. It's the pain. It's the pain. It's like the tattooed face, a young man with tattoos all over his face and a grill. That's black. That's the ugliness and beauty of Black America. So don't stop it, but just widen it, young man,
yes,
young
sir.
woman. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I can't be sitting here. I promised myself I'd never be sitting here telling like, well, back in my day, I ain't saying that. Yes, I'm just saying, you talented. The thing about hip hop culture and creativity and art, it's not the one that follows that's remembered. It's the one that has the courage to create something they have not seen. And so what are the young man, young woman, what are the thing you have not seen right now? And everybody, what is the thing you do not see in your community? Be that, right? Like, it's like you, brother, sitting here talking about like mental health, well-being. A brother like you ain't supposed to sit here with your hat on and this ain't supposed to talk about that. Why not? Why not? And if we in this thing of like, if we're in this space where we're talking about like, well-being and trauma, like, all we have the language for everything, but I'm sorry, you can't just spit words. You have to live in the language, and that's where expression becomes important. Live in the idea of generational trauma, but don't forget that generational joy, because that's how you
my God, sorry.
So stop. This ain't the trauma Olympics. We ain't out here trying to prove who went through more shit than the other one. It's boring. Get into the language of what the expression is, and you will find beauty. You will find beauty in the basement of the place where you didn't think it's possible. It's like the most difficult places in the world are the most beautiful. And if you have something that's really hard that happened to you, talk about it, write about it, paint a picture, tell a friend about it. Don't live with it, because it will, with the societal pressures we're in at this moment, it will push you to the edge. And when I see brothers and sisters out there who are shaking their head and having a hard time, it rocks me, bro, because I get emotional, because I'm like, it's hard to live out here right now. Sure. The pressure's serious. So express yourself.
James Brown. What I want to get it right. Was it James? Express yourself.
Express yourself. It was, I think it might be Sam and Dave.
One of y'all senior saints in here, one of y'all senior mothers, tell us who sang that. Express yourself. Because you talk about getting emotional. I'm sitting here too. And to hear someone that is internationally traveled, that is, I don't know if you're a little bit older, whatever, to articulate with such passion sir, things that others and I, specifically moving in this space of violence prevention, to hear it articulated in such an encapsulated, authentic, real, I mean, from the burden of the block. What did you say about the? Where's Joseph? Because he usually catches all these comments in here and types them up. To the basement, the beauty in the basement of the. All right. So I know that you give grace and liberty to give me grace to not go deep into the film and promote that. But I cannot have you here, which was the catalyst in which I got to meet you, to at least talk about the film and let folks know about the title that are wondering, The Death of My Two Fathers. And so we're going to show the clip to be able to kind of, you're talking to a backslidden preacher. And so there was some things in here that you preached. And so that's where all that animation came from. Because Teresa said she believes it was Charles Wright that did Express Yourself. And so we're going to, thank you, Miss T. We're going to go ahead so I can pull myself together and show the trailer of The Death of My Two Fathers. And I think seeing the trailer, because I was going to open up with it, I think you all will have a whole different appreciation for this trailer now that you've got to meet a little bit of soul. And so I'm going to make sure that we are all good with the sound and stuff. So there we go. So just in the background, let me know if you shake your head yes if you hear it once we start.
All right. You're 11 here. You're going to be 16 when you see this. The hard truth is, we spent the majority of our lives apart. Yeah! I made this film because I wanted you to know more about me and the story of our family. And I want to tell you about my father, your grandfather. He'd been diagnosed with cancer, and in the last year of his life, he recorded 6 tapes. I knew they were there. I always had them with me all the places I moved, but I'd never watched them. I looked at them a couple years ago, almost close to 20 years after they were made, a little less.
Always knew that I was going to do something different.
I grew up in a small town around mostly white people. I never really met the black side of our family. The Black American side of our family, the roots of a lineage, were in Kansas City. I decided it was time to go. So nervous. All this time making this for you, I thought I was making a story about race, about family, fatherhood, about America. Then I got a call. My stepfather, your grandpa, Frey, he'd had a fall. I was 44 when I started making this for you. I'll be 47 when you watch it. Maybe you'll see it again when I'm long gone. I hope you remember the love that surrounded you.
Your love, it's always be. I love y'all.
Folks, I had to come off camera for a minute, clean up, get myself together. Just so much that has been shared earlier, and then to talk about this now, where and it's obvious to some extent if you watch the trailer, but tell us The Death of My Two Fathers. Yeah. Sir, tell us about it.
It's funny, man. It's like expression, right? It's like we're talking about expression, and that song is just stuck in my head. My boy Razak wrote that song a few years earlier. Made music with Razak and Kanon for years, and it's that hook. I remember I lived with that song for years because it would bring me to tears. You know, what my father say, what my father say. You know, it's like such a, and it would remind me. So you know, so would say, son, go be a mountain, or you will lean on one. You know, like this the it's you know, the weave of your life allows for. Little did I know he'd written. I called him up. I was emotional one day. I was cutting the film, and I said, "Man, you didn't know 3 years ago you wrote the title track for this film." You know, so film is a collaboration. It's a creative process. I directed that film more as a, if I'm very honest, and I think in this space, I think this is a space for it. More as a to finally go down the road to confronting the loss of my father in my early 20s, who was a seminal figure in my life. I had the good fortune. He didn't know his father, and this man had the courage to. My brother and sister, he did the best he could. He couldn't be there. It fell apart. He got another chance with me and my first sister, who we share the same mother and father, Shoshana, and then my half sister, same mother, and my stepmom. Us three, where he could. He did about face, and he was fiercely committed, you know. So he didn't know his father. His first shot, he did the best he could. He couldn't do it down in Kansas City, and he ended up raising us in this small town in BC. But he became that you know, that father for us. And so his death was. Your parents are immortal when they're present, you know. And so I guess, but he left us a treasure. He left us his story.
Mm-hmm.
I say that, you know, everyone should leave their story. We've got all these devices around us. It didn't take nothing to record some audio or shoot a few videos for the people you love, or ask some questions of the people you love. You never know what it can become. It don't need to become a film, but it's an artifact. It's a living artifact, a totem to who you are and who your family is. And so he left these tapes that I packed around for over 20 years and never watched them. And when I did have the courage to watch them, it helped me confront his loss, and it helped me learn where he was from and reconnect me to the Black side of my family that I was disconnected from, and prepare me for what I could not have seen coming, which was another loss of my stepfather, who had been in my life for almost 30 years. Had I not, you know, confronted, you know, there's a line in the film that say, what you don't heal, what you don't confront, you pass on.
Yes, sir.
Had I not found the time to, like, and then back to what we were talking about, taking a camera with me was like a shield, because I was emotionally, it was too heavy. I couldn't process it, but I was like, oh, I'll just film it, you know? And so that was a pathway towards a process that I believe in deeply. I said it earlier, which is healing through creative practice, keeping the creator at the center of our practice. And when I say creator, I say, you know, yourself and the Most High. Where is your faith? What is the thing that you know exists beyond you? You know, these changes we pray to create in the world, I don't think they come about without forms of faith. And I say this gently, because people, like, because of kind of the yoke and doctrine and dogma of monotheistic religion, people bristle at the idea of being one with our creator, when actually that's all there is. And guess what? Whatever that means for you, I'm with it. Like, tell me about it. Tell me about why you sit in nature and a tree is your church. Tell me about the Buddha. Tell me about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Tell me about Jesus. Tell me about whoever it is that lights you up. I'm with it. Like, faith is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and your faith will get you through these very difficult things we're challenged by. And I tangent a bit, but this film was just a way for me to try to confront something that was, it took me 20 years to even look at one frame of the tape. But I realized at some point, if I didn't confront it, what would I pass on to my children? And imagine that, by the grace of God, alhamdulillah, I confronted it. And then an opportunity arose where I had a chance to either repeat it, because I ran when my father was sick, because it was too much pain. And don't judge yourself if you weren't able to. You did the best you could.
Yes, sir.
But when you confront it, the world is so divinely you know, they say the non-believer calls it serendipity, but the believer knows it's divine choreography. A friend of mine says that. And the divine choreography of life is that you will get an opportunity to get a second at bat. Then what? And guess what? I almost ran again, but I stepped into it, and being present for my stepfather's passing, I say this very intentionally, was one of the most liberating things of my entire life, because I confronted death. And I brought my father's death here. I pushed through it. I made a story through it. I expressed through it. And now I have a very different take on mortality and take on my own reality.
Yes, sir.
And when you hold those things, I know it's mental health week. Hold those things, they hold you.
Yeah. So I just I'm glad that, you know, I said I wish we did this after dark, but I'm going to wind up showing this like 11 o'clock one night. And for those that, because there is a generation, there's a people, there's some brothers, some sisters, those in between, wherever, need to hear a lot of what you shared with us today. And it just, I really I hope that you make it this way, because to be able to put something together, either clips from the film or the film, and get you maybe with a couple of other folks in a room.
Yeah, I'm down, brother.
Brothers, and just,
I'll let you know if I'm on the, you know, if I'm by your gates, if I'm on the east side, man, I'll let you know. But I think
we'll have to figure it out. We'll take an offering on Java with Jimmy to make it happen. Shoot, because it's there. Your expression and authenticity, those centered around the death of your two fathers, a lot of your philosophy and approach, dude, has okay. When I start saying dude and yo, that means you done tapped into a real passion point, with all due respect. Imagine if municipalities, feds, or whoever can get brothers, sisters in a room, your top first ones that feel they have, I don't say shooters no more, I say they feel they have no other choice. And you talked about the awareness and the creating spaces, and a lot of folks don't. And the presumption is brothers that are dealing with this are automatically jumping toward the rap game. Maybe not. They may not know, may have never had the opportunity for a 4-track. And so I'm sorry. I told your team that I vibe off of your response, and
you're killing it, bro. I know where you're going with this.
Have been a vibe, and we just, your message, your philosophy and approach could have such a huge impact on a lot of cities, towns, because I think for brothers to hear how and what you articulate, hearing that expression from you, to let them know that there's another option, that they are God's small g, that they are creatives. And as much as, and you know this, as much as parents and people that they know have said something, you know, as a parent, you can tell your child, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, or do this or do that, and they don't pay attention. One friend, one commercial, one song, and then boom, oh, and then that's what I want to do now. And so, you know, hearing it from you, and I didn't mean to get, as you said, I didn't mean to tangent, but
you're good, brother.
Appreciate you and let you know that there's more to come, and really consider that consider your next project being the burden of the block. I'm so serious, because
that's a good one. No, that's a good one. I mean, I'll say this, brother. I know we don't have, I'll say this, just thank you for the beautiful reflections and for the space to, it's a beautiful way to start my day, get some of these ideas. Even this, you just get, we get something outside of us. It shifts even the most subtle way for the two of us to have a different day.
Yes, sir.
The most significant shifts are actually the most subtle ones. And I think that, like, you know, we owe it to ourselves and to society to create the spaces that you're creating, to have conversations, to think more of the person that we're upset with or angry with or don't understand, to create a space that is more than, you know what Kendrick say, thoughts and prayers way better off timelines. It's like, I don't care about your social media post. I care about physical spaces for people to, if we do not, here's the thing, if we do not make the space for this, it's actually because we have not made the space for this, because we have been caught up in bureaucracy and yelling at each other and telling who's right, who's wrong. We've looked away from the people who need and deserve and require our care, our support, our love, our trust, our mentorship, our guidance. And then we look back and we're like, yo, why did you crash the car? It's like, man, you took your hand off the wheel. Don't look at these young ones and be pissed at them. That's our job. That's our job. So if we don't make the space, then we don't get to get up there and talk about how bad it is. So make space for, even if you make space for 2 young people in your life, or you see some young people doing some things, encourage them.
Yes, sir.
Show them love. Do something that is less than complaining about it, because that's on us. They're showing us our ugly face.
I've been known in the past as an activist and would always municipality. What's the mayor? What's the governor? And there is accountability on municipalities. They have budgets, programs, people in positions that are supposed to do stuff. But so I've often said that if Barack Obama, Mother Teresa, and Gandhi, the 3 of them cannot necessarily come into a home and teach children the value of life. And that doesn't negate systems and structures that fight against us. But what you just talked about in the past few moments was accountability. And that is something that is such a sexy buzzword. But as you said, it's not about what we put. And I'm a social media based person, but there's work when this camera goes off.
Yeah, get into the word, get into the nuance and the depth of language. Being accountable.
Words matter.
Being accountable is very different from accountability. Be accountable. And guess what? It ain't easy, but you're going to know your neighbor. Like, don't do that. Don't spit words at people and feel like you've accomplished something. Be more brave. And when I say this to you, brother, I'm happy because I'm looking at a mirror of myself and I'm saying it to myself. I'm reminding myself that's what I got to do. I ain't blaming nobody. That's some BS. Get off that. And the only other thing I'll say, remember this, and this is the thing that's been heavy. I just came from Montgomery, Alabama, the King Brian Stevenson's EJI, Peace and Justice Memorial, the work he's doing down there. Everybody should go visit it. You said Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and MLK. Remember this. Remember this. Those 3 people shifted the tide of history. They did something so special, so extraordinary. And when we think about this, we say freedom fighters, we say civil rights, we say helping the poor. One thing we forget about those 3 individuals is they were something before they did that unbelievable work in the community. His name was Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He was a pastor in the church. Gandhi was a deep man of faith. Mother Teresa was of the cross. Find your faith. Then you will not be deterred and people will not be deterred by the fear that is outside of there, that you have to take a level of risk to create some real change. You have to know it's bigger than you. You march. They did the bus boycott because they were with God. And you can't talk about that now because people get scared. So find a new word. But remember, the people we admire were people of faith.
It ain't often that folks, I'm going to give you an opportunity to quote unquote closing words. Folks, here is the website. I put it in the comments. I'm exhausted.
Yo, I was like, I'll be honest. I was like, yo, what the hell? Who agreed to this? Why am I getting up at 5:30 in the morning? I was like freaking out yesterday, but I'll be honest, but brother, I don't know what, maybe it was a caffeine combined with the green juice or whatever. Maybe I invented something new, but like I needed to say something and you gave me a place to say it. So I feel a lot more whole. I feel inspired. I'm going to see, people, the team's going to show up here. I'm going to be bouncing off the walls, probably asking people to do like impossible stuff all day long. And I'm with it. So, what do they say? My dear brother Puma, he was a young man from Peru. He's a medicine man. He always says, love yourself first and last. So that's what I leave you with. Love yourself first and last. And that's also a difficult one. I'm still trying to figure that one out. So Alhamdulillah, man. I'm grateful for the time. I hope I get to meet you in person one day.
And I gotta fly somewhere because I'm coming to grip you up and spend some
Let's
time.
do it, man. And thank you for doing what you do, brother. It's not lost on me, and it's not. You got to do these things, and like it don't matter. Like clicks and likes and all these things are beautiful. You build community, but if inshallah one person was moved by one word that we shared today, that's a bonus. But what did happen is between two brothers, we saw a mirror of each other, and we inspired each other. So that's more than enough. Don't measure it by that. Just do the right thing, and I think I see you doing that, and I'm grateful for the time, brother, and everybody who helped put this together.
They're asking for contact information. So if you go to the website, there are links there. You can follow him on social media and check in with him. And I'm going to be
the champ, be the people you love,
and he was a man of faith.
He was a man of faith.
Oh my, and it boils down to this, as Pastor Marion said, do the right thing. Brother Soul, after her. I appreciate you, man. I'm going to reach out to the team. I would love to stay in touch and just check.
Please do, man.
I will.
We'll cut up some of these this interview and throw it up
on. I'm going to put it in a shared folder. I'll download it. You can have the whole thing because I'm about to do the same. Because there's some nuggets in here that are going to change.
We said some things. That was early morning vibes, man. They say that there's that space in between.
You said it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going.
Respect, brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, man. Love. Have a great day. Respect everyone.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You take care, man.
So yeah. Next Saturday on May 20th. What are you supposed to say? What am I supposed? What should I say? What? I mean, is Ma on? Shit. On next Saturday, May 20th, at 575 Warren Street, Blue Hill app. Jesus Lord. All right. Let me pull myself together real quick. Let me just say what's on my mind. I've been struggling. There is the movement of folks going back to work for about a year now. May of 22, really. Well, actually, almost 18 months. And numbers have not been what they were when we first started. And I've been struggling with that. I'll be honest. To hear this man come in and just encourage, everything else that he said was definitely powerful, but he spoke to my life. And so I'm done. So I'm trying to get myself together to share this information with you all. It'll be a real quick synopsis of all 4 things I need to share. And then I'm going and lay out on the floor somewhere and cry and thank Jesus. No, I'm messing. All right. As you know, we've been talking about Your Healthy Java. The Joseph R. Betancourt Health Fair is taking place next Saturday, March 20th, 2023 at the Thelma Burns Building 575 Warren Street, 11 to 3 p.m. We are giving away gift cards, raffles, and prizes. There will be a DJ. We're giving away refreshments and also giveaways. Come get the health information and resources that you need. Ask the experts questions about your health. And we're not going to do a panel like we did last year. I'm going to do quick interviews with folks from Jensen. Shout out to our platinum sponsor, Jensen of Johnson & Johnson, that's making it possible to get the marketing that you've seen for me to go purchase screens that may be flat that you can watch TV on. We're going to give this stuff away to encourage the community to come and get this health information that is much needed within our community. As of today, the federal government and a lot of entities and agencies have declared the public health emergency lifted. So what is that? And maybe we need to have a show on that. What does that do for the cost of the vaccine? What does that do if you want to get a booster? What does that do if you needed to call out of work because you're COVID positive? So health is a part of this, ensuring that we're shored up. I feel something today, that we're shored up for the impact of the endemic. There was an impact in the pandemic, But do you not think there's going to be an impact as we're approaching this endemic? And this man put some fire, a battery, and Jesus Lord. Also, for our young people, there's an opportunity for them to gain $500 to work with me to create a public health campaign to allow them to express themselves around everything that they dealt with COVID, a form of expression, many forms of them. If they're a social media influencer, a writer, a rapper, they don't have to be interested in a health and wellness career. It's just beneficial to them. There is the link for you to get the information and for them to fill out the application. It is case sensitive. Please check that out. Also, don't forget that through a collaboration with the Boston Lesbian Gay Urban Foundation and also Fenway Community Health, COVID-19 tools for info and awareness. Get vaccinated in the best way to protect, or it is the best way to protect yourself, your loved ones, and the most vulnerable in our community. The risk of COVID-19 is still out there. Also, the other thing to keep in mind, are COVID test kits still going to be given out to be free? Contact these folks to get information, to go get tested, and also get services. Stay up to date on vaccines. Know when to get a booster. You can go to the CDC's website, and you can also locally go to www.fenwayhealth.org. Walk in one stop to get more information about making sure that we still protect ourselves and do all that we need to do so we are safe as we get ready to approach this endemic. Yes, Tashad, I'll get that together for an episode. All right, y'all. This dude wore me out. I'm done. We'll see. Oh, today's Thursday. Today's my Friday, y'all. So we will see you guys on Monday at 9 a.m. I have an announcement dropping on Monday. Nothing major, but the impact is major. And so we'll share that on Monday. Dr. Brandy will not be with us for the next 2 Mental Health Mondays. And so I'm figuring that out. I'm also, and I've mentioned to her that I want to get Mental Health Mondays back to having maybe some clinicians in. And I just got to figure that out. Dr. Brandy has been so dedicated and a part of that Monday piece. So how do we do that? Still do our banter, basketball or whatever. And so we're working on that. Ma, thank you for reminding me. I said on today I was going to celebrate our mother. So first and foremost, I thank God for my mother because this was destined by God. And Thaddeus had his conversation with me in 2018. But if you all remember, and I often say on the very first episode of Java with Jimmy, my mother, like she commented today, said to me just a few simple words: will this be an everyday coffee hour? I said to my mother, well, didn't think about it, but we'll be here tomorrow. And a few days later, I said, we'll be here through the pandemic. And so this space of me celebrating mothers is largely attributed. My mother had an influence on it. So Ma, and I'll talk to you, this weekend and Sunday and all this other stuff. And I got to double up because I think Ma was not well enough to go celebrate her birthday after her birthday. And then, so we go to figure out Mother's Day and birthday. But that's going to be happening. What else? All the other mothers in the room. We wish you a wonderful Mother's Day, and especially to my mother's board. I love y'all. I need y'all to add a name. I'll send it to either Sharon or my mother. I need to add you all to a name. Add a name to you all's prayer list of a sister. But to all the natural mothers in the room, to all the community mothers, to the godmothers, to the aunties, to the mother that just drops food off at the house because she knows that mother is struggling, to the woman in the store that gives the little extra love to the young man or young woman that comes in, and often you sneak them a can of tuna or noodles or something to make sure that they eat. To everyone that has a motherly spirit, we say happy Mother's Day to you as we approach this Mother's Day weekend. And Misha, please don't try it. Where's my birthday present? If you could get me, this is why certain times I don't look at the comments. Hold on. But no, to Misha one, mother as well. My sister Nakia, my sister Cammie, my sister Wilma, my sister Sandy, my sister nieces and nieces that are all mothers. All of y'all who have given birth, who birthed destiny, even if you haven't given birth, We celebrate you as we approach this Mother's Day. And again, to my mother's board here in the Java Cafe, I appreciate you all so much. And thank you all. Yeah, single mothers, mothers who are incarcerated, all the mothers, we definitely celebrate you. And we're thankful for you, for the nurturing that you do, for the fussing that you do. Let me see if I remember this. Let me turn this music down. M is for the million things she gave me. I is for, oh God. M is for the million things she gave me. Oh, I know how to spell mother. M is for the million things she gave me. O is for she's never growing old. T is for, oh God, I forgot it. But happy Mother's Day, y'all. There was a poem that we did some years ago. I actually probably have to sing it, and I'm not going to sing it to get the words out. M is for the million things she gave me. O is for she's never growing old. T is for the sun shining. H is for the sun, our hands we hold. E is for her love that's ever shining. R is for, all right, sorry. Happy Mother's Day. And we'll see y'all on Monday at 9 a.m. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Do me a favor. Share this even after. Y'all know some young men, some sisters, whoever, to sit down and watch this. A couple of my nephews need to watch this. So, all right, we'll see y'all on Monday. I'm done. I'm so messed up, y'all. We'll see y'all Monday at 9 a.m. Have a great day. Wait, before I go, I have to celebrate our sister. Grace by Nia. It's a whole experience. Last night was the VIP grand opening. Y'all make y'all way down to the seaport and go check out Grace by Nia. It is, and I know our mothers are in here, so y'all probably can, or you know, but for y'all that can, make your way down there. It is a whole experience. All right, so shout out to Nia Grace. I couldn't finish today's episode without talking about that. And then also, it's 10:11. Sharon, it's 10:11. Do they get an hour and a half today? For all of y'all, for y'all that don't know, there's a nonprofit agency that gives points to their members for, they consider this community engagement. They get points for watching Java with Jimmy. So all of y'all who are a part of the UCB, Union Capital Boston, y'all get an hour and a half points today. Yo, that is so funny to me. The last thing I'll say is I heard Orange Man 45 was on CNN. Y'all know I'm a big CNN guy. I think that may be changing. I heard that it was terrible, but I am going to check it out because to me, some of Trump's mannerisms are entertaining. Just not his disrespect, not what he did to the woman that the court declared he was liable, not the essence of what he does. As someone that's into politics and people dynamics, he's funny. That's just my opinion. All right. So I mentioned definitely congratulations to Ania, and I just thought about the Orange Man that was on last night. I'm definitely getting off of here now. Rambling. We'll see you guys on Monday at 9 a.m. Peace, everybody.